Welcome to American Medicine Today, presented by the Bonati Spine Institute, featuring the internationally acclaimed inventor of the Bonati spine procedures, Alfred Bonati, MD. Now here along with Dr. Bonati, your host, Kimberly Brummel.
Thank you for listening to American Medicine Today. I'm Kimberly Brummel, and we have Ethan Euchre, our radio program executive producer.
I am here. It's a pleasure as always.
And to my right, we have our elected senior fellow, Jeff Wagstaff.
I didn't vote for him. You're Mike,
I
Jeff.
did.
I'm speechless. I don't even know what to say after that introduction. Howdy, howdy.
And across from me, we have world-renowned orthopedic surgeon, Dr. Alfred Bonati of the esteemed Bonati Spine Institute.
I'm the junior fellow.
He's a junior fellow.
He's a junior mint.
I better stand up straight then.
The one thing that I've learned from coming to work for the Bonati Spine Institute and then through doing this program and watching the surgeries is that there is an astounding difference between textbook teachings of back surgery, and by that I'm meaning traditional open spine surgery with high failure rates. We're hearing that if someone has to undergo a fusion, it could be over 60% failure on just that one, and if they do 2 or 3 levels, that can raise all the way up to an 85% failure rate. Now, we switch gears and we take a look at what Dr. Bonati does. And week after week, you hear about his patented methods and his patented tools, which bring about true patient resolve. And we're proud to say that a recent 7.5-year survey reflects a patient-known true resolve satisfaction rate of 98.75%.
So close to perfection.
When you hear of something that is so highly successful, and we're constantly seeing people that have undergone previous failed back surgeries, it is so sad. And you don't have to listen. If they tell you that there is nothing they can do for you, you hear it week after week. We're able to resolve those with a great satisfaction rate.
Why anyone would, and this isn't just because I'm a part of the show, but just look at the statistics alone. Why, and the number of surgeries that were failures that then Dr. Bonati and his team have to fix and this and that. Why would you even bother going somewhere else?
Right. Well, I wanted to say, after okay, let me say it this way. Between debilitating spine pain and getting back in motion, there's Dr. Bonati and the Bonati Spine Institute. And with that said, we have a jam-packed show. We have a senior fellow, Ilya Shapiro, and he's a senior fellow in constitutional studies at the Cato Institute. He's in a think tank for Washington, D.C.
Up in D.C., yeah.
Yeah.
We're going to have a senior fellow conversation.
You're going to have a senior fellow moment?
Off. The senior fellow off. It's going to be a good one, though. But he's an expert in constitutional law.
Yes.
He does a lot of national stuff with Fox and CNN, and he's kind of a big deal around here when it comes to constitutional law. And we're going to talk term limits once again. Yes. Because I know that's something that Dr. Bonati always likes to talk about.
And then we have Austin Duke, VP of Emerging Technologies with Rossellini Scientific. And this is interesting. I think we interviewed somebody else from there for a TV program.
We had Will Rossellini on, who's the guy behind the whole institute. He wasn't available, but Austin Duke is his right-hand man. And some of the stuff.
Neurotechnologies, implantable devices that can improve memory, just amazing technologies. And then, of course, we'll hear what's new in American medicine today. But up first,
in today's Back to Life segment, we will talk to a patient of the Bonati Spine Institute who went from living a life that was restricted by pain and discomfort through their journey of finding the Bonati Spine Institute and are now living pain-free.
Well, on the line, I'd like to welcome to the program Robin Shaw. She is a patient of the Bonati Spine Institute. So welcome to the program.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. And why don't you tell us what type of pain you were suffering in, where that was, kind of what the symptoms were that you went through, and did you have previous surgeries anywhere else? What was that arduous process, and then how you found yourself at the Bonati Spine Institute?
Okay. For years and years, I've had severe back pain. I've had 2 previous surgeries.
Okay.
Both of them failed, and after the first surgery, I had difficulty walking, and 8 months later, they did another MRI, and they sent me back for surgery again, and it worked for a little while, but then I started increasing the pain again, and and severe pain would shoot down my legs, and I would do spinal injections approximately around every 4 months, and just kept coming back. And my boyfriend, who was experiencing some low back pain, he's done extensive research, and there's several people in the area that I live in that have gone down to Bonati, which I didn't know at the time until I asked for time off from work, and because my boyfriend told me about Bonati, and he researched a lot, and I asked my boss for the time off to go down to have surgery, and he was telling me, oh, my wife went down there, and they did such a great job with her. Yes, by all means, take off, go down there. And I'm very glad that I did, and since then, I found out a lot of people here who have had failure back surgeries have gone also down there, because I'm told, oh, go talk to so-and-so, go talk to so-and-so, and then I'm finding out they had a wonderful experience going to Bonati also. And I used to, I went to
Robin, can I just stop you for 1 second? Because you're really forwarding through your entire story. But just to backtrack a little bit, when you were in the pain that you had with the shooting pain, and you said you had to get injections, did you do any other type of conservative type treatments before seeking out and finding the Bonati Spine Institute? And then with that said, you knew of a lot of people that had previous failed back surgeries, but they got help at the Bonati Spine Institute. I just wanted to say they didn't have the failed surgeries here. They got relieved of their pain here. But why don't you talk about what I just said is as far as what other treatments you sought out before coming to the Institute? If you can quickly summarize.
Okay, yes. I had actually, the 2 surgeries, and then I've gone to the chiropractor. I've had spinal injections. I've went to physical therapy, and then, they would be like temporarily easing of the pain, but the pain would always come back.
Okay.
And how is this affecting your life, Robin? Was it did it affect your job, your home life, your personal life with your boyfriend, anything like that?
Oh, yes, before, because we're both in the West Virginia Highlanders, and we march in parades, and I couldn't march in all the parades because I'd have little episodes with my back pain, and I couldn't do it. And now I can march in the parades. I marched in one just last weekend for Veterans Day, and I could stand up straight without the pain shooting down my leg, and everyone has noticed it, and I could carry the flag without any problems.
I think Robin is so excited about the results that she just keeps focusing on how she is now, which is excellent, and we're very happy about that. But let's back up a second. So you sent your MRIs to the Bonati Spine Institute. What did they tell you? What were your options at that point? Someone who had already had a couple of surgeries. What were your options when Bonati saw your MRIs?
I'm not sure what you're asking, but I sent my MRIs down there, and they kept in touch with me, and they said that I would be a candidate, and I went down and to the Bonati Center, and they said that there were like different methods or different procedures they could do, and they said that they'll try the main one first, and it only took the one. I didn't have to have any more.
That's it. One procedure was all it took.
Yes.
And you had Dr. Grossmith, correct?
Yes.
Now, Robin, somebody who has had traditional back surgery versus having the procedure done at the Bonati Spine Institute, what was the difference in your recuperation? After you had the surgery at the Bonati Spine Institute, how long until you were up and moving and feeling better?
Right after the surgery. That's what was so wonderful, because when I had the prior surgeries, it took weeks to recover. And I mean, as soon as I woke up, I was so surprised I had no pain, and I could stand right up. I thought for sure when I stand up, I'm going to just be rubbery and fall, but I didn't. I felt very strong, which I had not felt in years, and I could walk with no problem. And even that night, I was up walking around with no problem, no pain.
And Robin, we have to ask you, at the Bonati Spine Institute, Dr. Bonati uses something called conscious IV sedation, where you're awake and you're alert, and the physicians can interact with you during surgery. So I have to ask, do you recall the surgery, and did you watch?
I don't remember, and I think that's partly because I asked them. I didn't really want to. I have had challenges with anesthesia to where it doesn't work as well with me. So I asked them to please make sure. That was my fear. I was excited to have the surgery, but my fear was like waking up because in a prior surgery, not at Bonati, but somewhere else, I woke up during a surgery. So I asked them, and they were very accommodating to me and my needs.
That's totally understandable.
But
Absolutely.
when it came time to double check if you were okay in certain areas, do you remember that?
I'm sorry, ask that again?
Do you remember at the very end saying, "Is this your pain? Move around. Are you still in pain?"
I kind of vaguely remember it, but I don't completely remember it, which I'm glad.
Sure.
Because I didn't want to feel anything.
Well, most importantly, when you were in the recovery room, how did you feel?
I felt great. I was really surprised because I thought for sure I'm going to wake up in pain or be nauseated, but they were really good. I let them know my fears, and they made sure I was comfortable, and I woke up feeling great. I mean, almost like I never had surgery at all, because I could get right up and walk like I never had pain before.
That's fantastic.
And what about return to work?
We drove back that weekend, and I went right back to work on Monday.
Wow.
And everybody at work was very surprised. I work in a hospital, and everybody was very surprised to see me back at work after back surgery. They're like, "What are you doing here?" And everyone has noticed how well I'm walking straight, standing up straight, and they were just amazed. And I keep having people come up and ask me, "Did you go down to that place in Florida and have surgery?" And I'm like, "Yes." And a lot of people have asked me about it.
Well,
All right.
that's fantastic. Thank you for sharing your story with us, Robin. We truly appreciate it. And continued
Thank
good
you for
health.
having me.
You're
All
welcome.
right. Have a great day.
I love the picture she was sending. That's what I was trying to hold up to the
Showing to the
camera.
video, yeah.
Amazing stuff happens at the Bonati Spine Institute. If you or someone you know is suffering in back, neck, or sciatic pain, reach out to the Bonati Spine Institute, 855-267-0483, or visit Bonati.com. Coming up after the break, Senior Fellow of the Cato Institute, Elia Shapiro, regarding term limits. We'll see you then. Revolutionary in his field, Dr. Bonati created, perfected, and patented the Bonati spine procedures. Using his genius, Bonati invented precise tools necessary to minimize surgery, scarring, anesthesia, and recovery. So successful are the Bonati spine procedures, they consistently reflect over 94% patient satisfaction. 45,000 successful procedures have been performed exclusively at our location. Nearly half our patients suffer from failed back and neck surgeries at other facilities. Bonati succeeds where others fail.
This is the first time that I am pain-free after 18 years, and it's just wonderful. I love it.
Phenomenal results, no pain whatsoever.
My pain is virtually gone, nothing short of a miracle.
Those surgeries gave me my life back.
Already I feel like a new person.
I'm going home new. I can chase my grandbaby now, I can garden, I can cook, and I'm really thrilled. The outcome's been remarkable.
I feel 100% better.
It's like a miracle.
It was phenomenal. It literally did change my life.
I was in a wheelchair at that time, and I left here walking.
Every single pain that I had when I came here is gone.
I'm ready to go home and feel great. This place is great. Thank you.
Everything that they said they would do, they have done, and I'm very, very satisfied and happy with those results.
I knew in surgery, in fact I told the surgeon when he relieved the pain off the nerve.
The pain is gone. I'm feeling wonderful.
I have no pain. I feel better than I felt in 4 years from the surgery. It was almost immediate relief.
Today I am totally pain-free, which is just amazing. It's fantastic.
It definitely works. I mean, I really don't know what else to tell you. I'm happy.
Revolutionary in his field, Dr. Bonatti created, perfected, and patented the Bonatti spine procedures. Using his genius, Bonatti invented precise tools necessary to minimize surgery, scarring, anesthesia, and recovery. So successful are the Bonatti spine procedures, they consistently reflect over 94% patient satisfaction. 45,000 successful procedures have been performed exclusively at our location. Nearly half our patients suffer from failed back and neck surgeries at other facilities. Bonatti succeeds where others fail.
You're listening to American Medicine Today, presented by the Bonatti Spine Institute, featuring the internationally acclaimed inventor of the Bonatti spine procedures, Alfred Bonatti, MD. Once again, here are Dr. Bonatti and your host, Kimberly Brumell.
Thanks for joining us for American Medicine Today, brought to you by the Bonatti Spine Institute. I'm Kimberly Brumell, joined by our executive radio producer, Ethan Euchre.
Hello. How are you?
Good.
Hello.
And our senior fellow, Jeff Wagstaff.
Good afternoon.
And then we have world-renowned orthopedic surgeon, Dr. Alfred Bonatti of the Bonatti Spine Institute. Thanks for being here, sir.
Hello.
Now, as a guest, we're always talking about what we can do to take control again and put it back in the hands of the people, and talking about term limits. So Ethan Euchre reached out, and we have Cato Institute's senior fellow on constitutional studies, Ilya Shapiro.
Yeah, Ilya, how are you, sir?
I'm doing well. Good to be on.
Ilya is very well versed, does a lot of the national networks, Fox, CNN, all of that, knows his stuff. Now, Ilya, sort of a background here. Dr. Bonatti is very much for imposing term limits on these career politicians and kind of getting some of these bozos out of office. We've had several experts on there, and we keep kind of running into this sort of impasse where they're kind of telling us there's not really much we can do. It's just stop re-electing these people. What is your expertise on the topic of term limits, and how could we possibly change
Well,
it?
I understand that Dr. Bonatti is a spinal surgeon, so understandably he wants to steal the spine or give some backbone to the elected politicians, which is a worthy goal.
That's for sure.
The problem is a Supreme Court ruling called U.S. Term Limits versus Thornton from about 20 years ago that said that states cannot impose term limits on federal officials, on congressmen and senators. And so even though term limits do exist in many states for their state legislatures, their governors, etc., they cannot impose those on congressmen and senators. Now, certainly, and we've seen this increasingly both before and after the Supreme Court ruling, many candidates for Congress and Senate have pledged to only stay in a certain number of terms if they're elected. Right. Some later on go on to break their pledges, and some don't. And all of that is conditioned by the voter and what the voting public is willing to tolerate.
Ilya, question. You said that the states cannot mandate term limits. Can we do it federally?
Without a constitutional amendment, could Congress pass a law and signed by the president saying,
I think he stumped him.
That's very
Jeff.
interesting. I don't think so, because it's not in the Constitution, and then somebody, a sitting congressman, could potentially challenge that law. That would be an open question. Maybe if there were enough of a popular opinion pressuring Congress to pass such a law, presumably there would be enough popular opinion to hold politicians' feet to their fire once they're elected in the first place. So it's kind of a chicken and egg problem.
Okay, but
how about to get rid of Amendment 17?
To get rid of the 17th Amendment?
Yeah.
The direct election of senators?
Yeah.
Well, that does sound good. That would kind of rebalance power in certain ways, that you would have the senators more accountable to the legislatures that sent them. But the issue there is that I think it would mostly be, even if you achieved the political will necessary to repeal that constitutional amendment, which would be significant, even before that amendment was passed, about half the states' legislatures were still simply ratifying the will of the voters. There would be primaries or there would be advisory elections, and then the state legislatures would still just ratify those decisions. I think it's very hard in the modern democratic era to prevent something like that from occurring. So I'm sympathetic to the views of to those who would want to repeal the 17th Amendment. If I could snap my fingers, I do think I would do that. But practically speaking, I'm not sure it would change very much.
Okay, Ilya, I have a question though. When you were talking about the Supreme Court's ruling, and you said U.S. term limits and such versus whomever, but in the actual Constitution, did it mandate that there couldn't be any term limits federally, or is this something that was imposed further down the line?
No, I mean, this is why it was a close decision. It was 5-4 in the Supreme Court. It's an open question. I think that the court was probably wrong in saying that. Just like, as I said, when I just got the question about whether Congress could do it, I think it's an open question. You could argue either way. I think that
but it was never
states should be able to do it, and then Congress should be able to do it.
Correct.
But as I said, the Supreme Court ruled the other way, and they would likely rule the other way
right.
for the congressional view as well.
But my initial question is, was it part of the Constitution? Was that mandate in the Constitution to begin with?
It doesn't say explicitly states cannot impose term limits.
Okay.
That's why it got to the Supreme Court, because it's left open.
Got it. Okay.
And it's one of those things where they say that, and it depends on your interpretation and whatever side you fall on, because the Constitution doesn't specifically address that question. Some say that because it's silent on the issue, then that means, okay, well, then there should be term limits.
Well, the
and vice
court's
versa.
perspective, to be clear, is that states cannot limit federal elected officials under the Constitution, congressmen and senators. That's what the court said. If the people want to put in a constitutional amendment to that effect, as they did for presidential term limits, they are free to do that. But short of that, state legislatures can't put that limit on that. That's what the court said.
So in the meantime, we're just simply left with the option to vote the bums out.
Pretty much.
Right.
That's right. And even in wave elections, so-called wave elections, like we've just seen, this was called a Republican wave last week. But still, the re-election rate for incumbents was higher than 90%, and most incumbents in the House, at least, did not even face opposition at all. And part of that is gerrymandering. So I think part of the solution, short of actual term limits, is to get redistricting done a different way and made more competitive, although there are limits to that as well, because people who think alike tend to live closer together, and that's an increasing trend over the last couple of decades.
All right, Ilya, in closing, Dr. Bonatti, just so we don't have to continue having guests on term limits, what can Dr. Bonatti take away from this? What is our course of action, Ilya, if we want to change this stuff? What is our takeaway from this?
Give us some good news.
Is it an exercise in futility? Should we give it up? Or is there something we can do?
Let's fight the fight.
There's no golden bullet. It's not that if you were to get term limits in place, that would solve all of the nation's ills. Just like if you got rid of the income tax amendment and just had a consumption tax, that would get rid of all of the nation's ills. There's a number of problems, I think, with our constitutional discourse and with how over many, many decades our constitutional jurisprudence has gotten away from the actual Constitution in terms of the scope of federal power and the protection for individual liberty in various ways. So I would say continue pressing candidates to make pledges that they won't be career politicians, and groups that care about individual liberty and limited government should hold politicians accountable for that, and judges as well.
All right.
Ilya Shapiro, Senior Fellow at Constitutional Studies at the Cato Institute, one Senior Fellow to another. Thank you for joining us.
Thanks, Ilya.
My pleasure.
Thank you.
Take care.
Take care.
Ilya. All right. Does that give you any solace at all, Doc, or are you still
We're fighting the fight.
fighting a good fight?
Yes.
We need to continue looking for.
How about a constitutional amendment?
No, this is very informative and is really good. But at the same time, it's good that we continue stirring the pot till we can make the voters that they are being called stupid to wake up and start to get smart enough to get these politicians responsible of what they do.
Get them out.
That's true. Well, if you or someone you know is suffering with neck, back, or sciatic pain, they can reach out to the Bonati Spine Institute, 855-267-0483, or visit Bonati.com. You can like us on Facebook, both the Bonati Spine Institute and American Medicine Today. And coming up next, we're going to speak with Austin Duke, VP of Emerging Technologies with Rosalini Scientific, regarding neurotechnology and implantable devices to help memory. Coming up after the break. Revolutionary in his field, Dr. Bonati created, perfected, and patented the Bonati spine procedures. Using his genius, Bonati invented precise tools necessary to minimize surgery, scarring, anesthesia, and recovery. So successful are the Bonati spine procedures, they consistently reflect over 94% patient satisfaction. 45,000 successful procedures have been performed exclusively at our location. Nearly half our patients suffer from failed back and neck surgeries at other facilities. Bonati succeeds where others fail.
This is the first time that I am pain-free after 18 years. And it's just wonderful. I love it.
Phenomenal results. No pain whatsoever.
My pain is virtually gone. Nothing short of a miracle.
Those surgeries gave me my life back.
Already I feel like a new person.
I'm going home new. I can chase my grandbaby now. I can garden, I can cook, and I'm really thrilled. The outcome's been remarkable.
I feel 100% better.
It's like a miracle.
It was phenomenal. It literally did change my life.
I was in a wheelchair at that time, and I left here walking.
Every single pain that I had when I came here is gone.
I'm ready to go home and feel great. This place is great. Thank you.
Everything that they said they would do, they have done, and I'm very, very satisfied and happy with those results.
I knew in surgery, in fact, I told the surgeon when he relieved the pain off the nerve.
The pain is gone. I'm feeling wonderful.
I have no pain. I feel better than I felt in 4 years from the surgery. It was almost immediate relief.
Today I am totally pain-free, which is just amazing. It's fantastic.
It definitely works. I mean, I really don't know what else to tell you. I'm happy.
Revolutionary in his field, Dr. Bonati created, perfected, and patented the Bonati spine procedures. Using his genius, Bonati invented precise tools necessary to minimize surgery, scarring, anesthesia, and recovery. So successful are the Bonati spine procedures, they consistently reflect over 94% patient satisfaction. 45,000 successful procedures have been performed exclusively at our location. Nearly half our patients suffer from failed back and neck surgeries at other facilities. Bonati succeeds where others fail.
You're listening to American Medicine Today, presented by the Bonati Spine Institute, featuring the internationally acclaimed inventor of the Bonati spine procedures, Alfred Bonati, MD. Once again, here are Dr. Bonati and your host, Kimberly Brumell.
Thanks for listening to American Medicine Today, brought to you by the Bonati Spine Institute. I'm Kimberly Brumell, joined by Ethan Euchre, our radio executive producer.
Guten Tag.
Guten Tag. And Guten Morgen? No, I don't know. I don't speak other bonjour.
Bonjour.
Bonjour. Ah, see. Our senior fellow, Jeff Wagstaff.
He's here.
I'll turn my mic on next time.
There you go. Good idea.
And across from me, if he rises to the occasion, we have world-renowned orthopedic surgeon
Well done.
Alfred Bonati of the Bonati Spine Institute.
Doc?
So thank you for being here, sir. And we want to get to our next guest, Austin Duke, VP of Emerging Technologies with Rosalini Scientific.
Yeah, and Kimberly, you and I had on our television show,
yes,
we had Will Rosalini from Rosalini Scientific, who I guess is obviously the main man behind the whole thing. And we talked about sort of some emerging technologies, very innovative stuff, brain implants, things like that.
To help the memory.
Yeah, I mean, the applications
stuff.
are amazing, and Austin's going to get into that. Austin, how you doing?
Doing great. How's everybody doing there?
Great.
We are doing well. So fill everybody in on some of the projects that you guys you're working on there at Rosalini Scientific.
Yeah, absolutely. The field of neurostimulation right now is just a really exciting place to be. We're really riding on the the front wave here in this particular field. If you look at all the different applications, most people think of the brain as being the primary spot for targeting the nervous system to treat various diseases, but really there are places all over the body. The nervous system controls everything from your memory, as you mentioned, to the way you move your toes, to the way that your heart beats. And so at Rosalini Scientific, we're looking at places all over the body. So for instance, targeting the heart for diseases like atrial fibrillation and heart failure, for the brain, epilepsy, cognition, overactive bladder. There's all sorts of diseases that result from deficiencies in the way that your nervous system functions. And we think there's a lot of exciting things that not only that we're doing, but that researchers and companies all over the world are investigating in this space.
Seems a little frightening to me, though, to just it's so futuristic and scientific to think that you're going to get a device implanted
in your brain.
Into your brain. I mean, that's got to be a pretty dangerous undertaking, isn't it?
Well, in some respects, you might think so, but you have to remember that device technology, while we're still fairly early on, is also fairly mature. I'll give you an example of it being safe. So I'm spent the last 7 years in Nashville, Tennessee, which is Music City, and you have a lot of musicians there that when they get older and have essential tremor or Parkinson's disease or something of that nature, it is devastating to not to be able to play their instrument anymore. And at Vanderbilt, which is where I was previously, we did a study, some of the surgeons and physicians there, where they implanted what's called a deep brain stimulator, which treats diseases like Parkinson's and essential tremor. And the way that this procedure is done is they place an electrode into the brain while the patient is actually awake. And so you will see some of these musicians will be playing their instrument during the procedure. And at the beginning of the procedure, they're hardly able to play any notes. And when that electrode is in the right spot, they can play music as if they've been doing it all their lives. And you can actually go on YouTube and see some of those videos of the procedure and how this works. So it's a lot safer than it sounds, but you're right. When you start to manipulate things in the brain, you are walking a bit of a fine line on some of the damage that could be done if it's not done correctly.
See, this reminds me of The Matrix. And, one thing that I thought was the coolest thing about that movie is the when Neo, Keanu Reeves, is sort of being downloaded into his brain how to do judo, and he's reading all of the classic literature in just seconds because of it's downloading directly to his brain. Is this science fiction? Is that something that you foresee us being able to do with some of these brain implants down the road in the future?
Let me say that I tend to not look that far into the future, but I will also say that I don't think that anything of that sort is necessarily impossible, especially when you look at some of the technologies that are on the horizon. Right now, we're traditionally using electrical methods of nerve activation, which one of the limitations is that you have a small lack of specificity or selectivity what you activate. And so you may target one particular cell or one particular element of tissue, but you may get collateral activation, which in most cases isn't a big issue. But when you're talking about this futuristic Keanu Reeves Matrix-style stuff, you want to be much more specific. And one of the technologies that's allowing us to target individual cells is it's a field called optogenetics, which has really come to light in the past 10 years. And what that involves is having single cells that are tuned to respond to different wavelengths of light. So you shine a blue light and one cell turns on. You shine a red light or a yellow light and another cell turns off. And it allows for very, very precise and selective control of single tissues in something as large as the brain. And if you look at what researchers are doing today with this technology, it is amazing. And the possibilities of what could be done in the next 10, 20, 50 years are almost limitless.
Okay, not to take this on a weird turn, but it's nothing where if somebody wanted to mess around with your memories, they could go in and cause amnesia and wipe your brain clean. I mean, it's nothing that could do that, correct?
No, I wouldn't expect that. I mean, when you're talking about some of these technologies, you have to remember the amount of regulatory oversight. It is not easy to get a device like this approved into market. And
Right.
so if there is any concern about anything of that nature, whether it be the technology itself malfunctioning and causing a problem, or even in today's day and age, when you see potential for devices to be hacked with wireless communications, like was talked about with insulin pumps a couple of years back, all of those things are being so tightly regulated that I would not be concerned at all about some of those fears.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Jeff.
No, Austin, in some of the research that we were doing before we spoke to you, it talked about simple brain stimulation devices to help restore memory. Let me dumb this conversation down for a minute. I can remember as a child, my parents or my grandparents would go to call you for dinner or whatever, and they would go through my sister's name,
Everybody's
my
name
uncle's
but
name,
yours.
the pet's name.
Yeah.
And I used to remember how funny that was. Now, I find myself doing it. So the question is, where can I volunteer to test this technology?
Do you want to be a guinea pig, Jeff?
I'm ready.
Well, that's going to depend. That technology is still a bit premature and is in the stage of it's really exciting, and we have a lot of preclinical evidence.
Right.
But when you're ready, when it's time to actually volunteer, those are going to be clinical studies that are going to occur both in Europe and the U.S. And I imagine in something that's as exciting as this field, and the problem that you stated is one that many people share, these are going to be at centers all across the U.S., all across Europe. So when it's time, when the technology is ready, I'm sure there'll be somewhere right around your door where you can go get involved and be a guinea pig, so to speak.
Well, Austin, I have a quick question, though. How long do you see this continuing before it would be ready for market? How many years do you think that will take? Months or years? I'm assuming years. And then what would the cost of something like this be?
Well, it's generally going to be years. When you think of the amount of, and this goes back to the regulatory issue, you have to prove both safety and efficacy of device. So not only does it have to be safe, it can't harm anyone, it also has to work in order for it to get to market. And so generally those trials are going to involve several hundred patients for a device like this, and recruitment for that is going to take on the order of, or recruitment and completion of the trial will take on the order of 2 to 5 years. So you have to factor that in. And then when you add the regulatory sort of paperwork and approval on the back end, the amount of time that it takes to get the technology adopted in healthcare facilities, potentially reimbursed, you're looking at probably 10 or more years away.
Okay, wow.
With that said, you're going to start hearing a lot more about it, and it's going to be more exciting as the day gets closer.
Let me ask you something specific. Are we working specific with Alzheimer's? Because not only the enormous amount of expenses that society has to treat this individual, but at the same time, the disaster that the individual with Alzheimer's has in his own life, and sometimes in a very important time of production of those brains. Are you already working on specific on Alzheimer's or not?
Great thought.
We have considered Alzheimer's, but our company has not specifically worked on it yet. However, what I will say is we are now getting into the space of cognition, which is not specific to memory, but could be useful for children and adults with learning disabilities. So these aren't just normal average learning disabilities. These are typically caused by something like epilepsy, where they're very severe. But there's a lot of research that has shown, and this has been in clinical studies before, that a neurostimulation type device, something that can restore the function of the nervous system, can actually change the way that the neurons in your brain are connected in such a way as to restore cognitive ability. And we think that's really exciting, and that's something that is on the horizon as well. And we've just started those projects here at Rosalind Scientific.
What about advancements for post-traumatic stress disorder, say from veterans?
Sure, that's an enormous field, a lot of money there, and it's a big problem, and one that does need to be solved. We see a lot of different ways going about that. One of the really tough issues with solving that problem is having appropriate models in which to study it, because it's not it's not realistic, again, with the regulatory issues, to just try something that you don't know if it works on someone with post-traumatic stress disorder. So we have to look at models of that disease state, which can be very difficult to reproduce. But I will say that there are several companies, and the government has funded quite a bit of research in this area that have some exciting devices that are showing very good response early on. And I would expect that, again, within the next 5 to 10 years, you're going to see some new things on the market that will revolutionize that disease state.
Well, thank you very much, Austin. We appreciate you coming on the show and talking about these new emerging technologies. Keep us up to date. It is. Thank you very much from Rossellini Scientific, rossellini.scientific.com if you want more information.
Thanks,
Austin.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. You'll have a great day.
Thank you. Bye.
Real quick, something I've always wanted to develop is I want scientists to come up with like a thumb drive where when my wife goes away for the weekend and comes back, I can just plug in the thumb drive and download all of the boring stories that she's going to tell me over the next 12 hours instantly. How fantastic would that be?
I think you're going to sleep in the dog house tonight.
And she wants a memory chip of a kind, caring, loving, compassionate husband, so she can click that on. Yes, exactly.
Science isn't there yet. It's got a ways to go.
Next week, you'll have to let us know how the couch felt tonight.
Exactly. I think a doghouse. Doghouse. Okay. Coming up next, we'll see what's new in American medicine today. You're listening to American Medicine Today on our flagship Tampa station, News Radio 970 WFLA. We'll hear more after the break. Revolutionary in his field, Dr. Bonati created, perfected, and patented the Bonati spine procedures. Using his genius, Bonati invented precise tools necessary to minimize surgery, scarring, anesthesia, and recovery. So successful are the Bonati spine procedures, they consistently reflect over 94% patient satisfaction. 45,000 successful procedures have been performed exclusively at our location. Nearly half our patients suffer from failed back and neck surgeries at other facilities. Bonati succeeds where others fail.
This is the first time that I am pain-free after 18 years. And it's just wonderful. I love it.
Phenomenal results. No pain whatsoever.
My pain is virtually gone. Nothing short of a miracle.
Those surgeries gave me my life back.
Already, I feel like a new person.
I'm going home new. I can chase my grandbaby now. I can garden. I can cook. And I'm really thrilled. The outcome has been remarkable.
I feel 100% better.
It's like a miracle.
It was phenomenal. It literally did change my life.
I was in a wheelchair at that time, and I left here walking.
Every single pain that I had when I came here is gone.
I'm ready to go home and feel great. This place is great. Thank you.
Everything that they said they would do, they have done, and I'm very, very satisfied and happy with those results.
I knew in surgery, in fact, I told the surgeon when he relieved the pain off the nerve.
The pain is gone. I'm feeling wonderful.
I have no pain. I feel better than I felt in 4 years from the surgery. It was almost immediate relief.
Today I am totally pain-free, which is just amazing. It's fantastic.
It definitely works. I mean, I really don't know what else to tell you. I'm happy.
Revolutionary in his field, Dr. Bonati created, perfected, and patented the Bonati spine procedures. Using his genius, Bonati invented precise tools necessary to minimize surgery, scarring, anesthesia, and recovery. So successful are the Bonati spine procedures, they consistently reflect over 94% patient satisfaction. 45,000 successful procedures have been performed exclusively at our location. Nearly half our patients suffer from failed back and neck surgeries at other facilities. Bonati succeeds where others fail.
You're listening to American Medicine Today, presented by the Bonati Spine Institute, featuring the internationally acclaimed inventor of the Bonati spine procedures, Alfred Bonati, MD. Once again, here are Dr. Bonati and your host, Kimberly Brumell.
Well, it's a beautiful day out, and you are listening to American Medicine Today, presented by the Bonati Spine Institute. I'm Kimberly Brumell, joined by our radio executive producer, Ethan Euchre.
I am here.
Senior fellow, Jeff Wagstaff.
Thanks for having me.
And world-renowned orthopedic surgeon, Dr. Alfred Bonati. So, Doc, what's new?
Let's look at what's new in medicine today, featuring Alfred Bonati, MD.
Take it away, Doc. What's going on in the world?
Well, we need to start to look something what's going on with these changes that are happening in Obamacare, more than anything like medical liability reform. If you really understand, the government doesn't want to change, doesn't want that the medical liability reform occur. Mm-hmm. And this is because any type of a defense of medicine needs to be avoided. It's a socialistic behavior. Mm-hmm. Is an idea to control the physicians and to control the power of the physicians. The physician is a figure in society. Is a very powerful figure, but it's also a very gentle figure. This individual is trained with a tremendous amount of power through the selection to become a doctor, through years of training in medicine, through years of training as a specialist, and then when the individual is probably 32 or 36 years old, is going to make his first dollar. So if you really analyze the doctor before really becomes an individual that is going to be trained in medicine, needs to have 13 years of schooling. Right. Then needs to have 4 years of college, then 4 to 5 years of medical school, then around 5 to 6 years of a specialty. Mm-hmm. We're talking about 24 to 25 years of constant study. Is an investment that this individual does, but is regulated like an army. You respond and you educate yourself to be ethical, responsible, mm-hmm. kind, and at the same time, get the best knowledge that you have, because the person who's going to be in front of you is going to trust the life mm-hmm. of that person on your competence, on your responsibility, on your ethics. So this is not a joke. Mm-hmm. Obama is destroying that image. He's creating a wording that is very much used now by insurance companies, okay. by politicians, by pharmaceutical products, and they call a medical provider. Mm-hmm. A medical provider is the worst insult that you can give to an individual who has that amount of training and that amount of competing with society, mm-hmm. with other brains in specific selection. So when you call a medical provider, what you are trying to do, you're trying to probably start to look the possibilities to train physicians in a different level. Mm-hmm. And that's why the socialistic countries do. Right. They destroy the image of the physician. They minimize the responsibility of that physician. Mm-hmm. They train him in a certain way that he's not ethical anymore. He's not responsible anymore. He's 9 to 5 employee mm-hmm. of the government who really doesn't want to be in medicine and is tired of the patients. Right. So you don't expect for that individual to try to treat you with love, with respect, and with care, mm-hmm. because at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, in 1 second, this guy is abandoning the operating room because the next
right.
surgeon is going to come there.
Right.
Well, that is socialized medicine. Problem with this is the American medicine is very specific and very, very unique. We are a country of specialists. We are not a country of general practitioners. So they are trying to change that. And that's why the law, to avoid, to continue developing new advances in medicine, like we just heard a few minutes ago, these advances are going to be shut down because they don't want that the elderly continue living. They want that the elderly will be shut down after 65 years old. And then they will put that money and that input in the quote-unquote 20 to 40 years old, because that's the productive time that they can invest in the people.
It's productive time, but only if you have that experience, knowledge, and expertise that someone who is older and has gone through that extensive training would have.
But the problem is this. The person with 20 to 40, they don't get sick. Okay? They have a cold, they have a runny nose, they have an emotional situation, and that's it.
Right.
The people with the children, they have measles and they have different types of infections, and they are sick all the time. That type of kids, they are now being eliminated because they are expensive. And the same thing that the people that are old, they are going to be eliminated because it's happening already. In England, is a specific type of a program that is being called a health management.
Right.
And this health management will allow the people to not be treated and will be ordered, the doctor will be ordered to don't treat that individual. They will fool him with a large amount of medication for pain, large amount of medications to go to sleep,
Death
and
panels.
they are going to starve them to death.
And that's a look at what's new in medicine today with Alfred Bonatti, MD.
It also took me a second. Normally I can figure out his accent. I thought he was saying older, more family-oriented people had missiles, and then it dawned on me. He said measles.
I want a missile.
You'll probably see my reaction on there, and that's why I went, I didn't know. I was going missiles. Oh, measles. Okay.
American
Anyway.
military today.
There you go.
Well,
That's a missile anyway.
Well, you're listening to American Medicine Today on our Tampa flagship station, News Radio 970, WFLA. We all want you to participate in life, so if you have neck, back, or sciatic pain, reach out to the Bonatti Spine Institute, 855-267-0483, or visit Bonatti.com. Watch out for us on TV. We're on Bloomberg. Check out Bloom, 6 p.m. on Saturdays, 5 p.m. Sundays, and here locally in Tampa, WFTS ABC 28 at 7:30 p.m. Saturdays. We'll see you next week.
Revolutionary in his field, Dr. Bonatti created, perfected, and patented the Bonatti spine procedures. Using his genius, Bonatti invented precise tools necessary to minimize surgery, scarring, anesthesia, and recovery. So successful are the Bonatti spine procedures, they consistently reflect over 94% patient satisfaction. 45,000 successful procedures have been performed exclusively at our location. Nearly half our patients suffer from failed back and neck surgeries at other facilities. Bonatti succeeds where others fail.
This is the first time that I am pain-free after 18 years. And it's just wonderful. I love it.
Phenomenal results. No pain whatsoever.
My pain is virtually gone. Nothing short of a miracle.
Those surgeries gave me my life back.
Already, I feel like a new person.
I'm going home new. I can chase my grandbaby now. I can garden. I can cook, and I'm really thrilled. The outcome has been remarkable.
I feel 100% better.
It's like a miracle.
It was phenomenal. It literally did change my life.
I was in a wheelchair at that time, and I left here walking.
Every single pain that I had when I came here is gone.
I'm ready to go home and feel great. This place is great. Thank you.
Everything that they said they would do, they have done, and I'm very, very satisfied and happy with those results.
I knew in surgery, in fact, I told the surgeon when he relieved the pain off the nerve.
The pain is gone. I'm feeling wonderful.
I have no pain. I feel better than I felt in 4 years from the surgery. It was almost immediate relief.
Today I am totally pain-free, which is just amazing. It's fantastic.
It definitely works. I I mean, I really don't know what else to tell you. I'm happy.
Revolutionary in his field, Dr. Bonati created, perfected, and patented the Bonati spine procedures. Using his genius, Bonati invented precise tools necessary to minimize surgery, scarring, anesthesia, and recovery. So successful are the Bonati spine procedures, they consistently reflect over 94% patient satisfaction. 45,000 successful procedures have been performed exclusively at our location. Nearly half our patients suffer from failed back and neck surgeries at other facilities. Bonati succeeds where others fail.